Hello, I'm Tim Harness, and this is a film about Bill Bullock, my Uncle Bill, who died in 2016, aged 100. He lived a long and interesting life, and he spent about a third of it in the Royal Air Force, and that's what this film is mostly about. I made this film in 2006 using my old Sony DV cam, so the quality of the video isn't so great, so please forgive me for that. But I hope you enjoy the film.
I was born in Marshfield in Gloucestershire on the 30th September 1916. At the time, I think my father was a sergeant major in the Royal Flying Corps. He was one of the original engineer officers. And then when I was 5, by then I had a brother 18 months older and a sister about 3 years young. We moved into Bath.
And your dad was home by then?
Was then stationed at Upavon, I think, down in, on Salisbury Plain. I used to come home about every couple of weeks on a motorbike, a Douglas motorbike. I didn't see a great deal of him. Well, he joined the army when he was about 18, I think, as a bugler boy, transferred to the RFC the day it was formed, eventually into the RAF, and he finished up. By the time he finished, he'd done 41 years service.
Where did you go to school?
Well, at the time they called it the City of Bath Boys' School. It was virtually a grammar school. I went there from 1928 to 1932, and on September the 6th, 1932, that's 76 years ago, I joined the RAF as an apprentice at Halton. 15 years and 11 months. I was just under 16, and I did 34 years. Call it aircraft fitter. We did engines and airframes. Well, I actually would train and work on Hawker or Dax. I went to 13th Army Co-op Squadron at Old Sarum, and in February 37, I went to 4 flying training school at Abu in Egypt. Okay. And we had Hearts and Audax. I was there for 2.5 years. Then, as the war was threatening, the unit moved from Abu in Egypt to Habbaniya in Iraq as a complete unit going on training. In 1941, this upstart Iraqi lawyer man, Rashid Ali, he stirred up trouble to get the British out of Iraq to let the Germans come in, and in May 41, they surrounded our camp at Habbaniya with the Iraqi army. We started bombing them at 4 o'clock in the morning, and they returned by shelling us all day. And then the Iraqi Air Force came over, bombing us and bombing the aircraft on the ground. After 2 days, we dropped delayed action bombs on them that went off at night. Then they shelled us all day and all night for 3 days. They were shelling the hangars really to get the aircraft. They weren't so worried about the bungalows that we lived in. They wanted to get the aeroplanes. So anyway, after 5 or 6 days, we were reinforced by a Wellington squadron from Basra, and we really bombed them and bombed them. Out of 64 aeroplanes, we'd lost 22 on the first day, either shot down, burned out, or damaged beyond repair. 10 out of 39 pilots were dead or in hospital. There were 29 left to carry on the war. So we carried on for another 4 days, and eventually we beat them off and they retreated. But a couple of weeks later, the Germans, they'd flown into a station for Mosul, and they started bombing us with Messerschmitts and Heinkels. They bombed us 8 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, regular. And eventually we were loaned a couple of Hurricanes from somewhere else, and eventually followed these Germans back, and when they landed they shot them up as they were on the ground there, and we more or less disabled the German Air Force in about a week so that they were finished. I think I left Iraq in June 41 and came home. 2 weeks we had in Bombay, a couple of days in Mombassa, 10 days at Durban. We were in tents out on the Clarewood racecourse. That was very nice. And got a ship, came down to Cape Town for 2 or 3 days in Cape Town harbour, which was very nice. Got up to Table Mountain. Then we came back from there. We put into Lagos to get rid of some African troops we brought. I went down with malaria. I was in the ship's hospital for 3 weeks. We got round to Freetown. We left Freetown, went right across and up the American coast and then across the Atlantic. Eventually we got home in November, having started from Iraq in June. Eventually put into Liverpool. And the day after we got out of the ship at Liverpool, they bombed the docks, Liverpool Docks, but we were out. Oh, I came home, I got posted to Cranwell, and after about 8 months I was posted from Cranwell to Wigsley on the Lancaster conversion unit. 12 months at Wigsley, I applied for a technical commission, and after 3 or 4 months of various courses, finished up as an engineer officer based at East Kirkby as technical adjutant. I did all the paperwork, run the station workshops, and kept engines and propellers to service of 100 Lancasters based at East Kirkby, Spilsby and Strubby. That was my job for a year. And whilst I was there, it was an aeroplane from 50, another squadron. It came in, overshot the one-way and crashed in a wood on the end of the one-way. And the following day, it was a cold, misty day. The station commander sent for me. He said, "I'm sorry, Bullock, but you're the only engineer on the station." He said, "The chief technical officer is away and the other engineer officer away. He said, you're the only one left." He said, "You will have to go and do a technical investigation to find how he crashed." So I went in the wood, and it was creepy and horrible, and there was blood and bits all over the place. And I went back and talked to the men on the dispersal nearest to where he'd gone. They said, yes, he came in and decided to go round again, but for some reason he accidentally, instead of pulling his wheels up, he pulled his flaps up, which lost lift, and he ploughed straight into the wood.
Tell us about Guy Gibson.
Guy Gibson, when he'd finished his dam busting job, he was posted to East Kirkby as Wing Commander Operations Officer to give him a rest. But he was not liked, he was not popular. If you ever had a word with him, he was, "Don't call me Guy, call me Dam Buster." And he was universally hated. In spite of what people thought, he was universally hated. Apart from sitting at the same table having meals with him, I never had anything to do with him. It would be October, November 43, Group Engineer Officer came and said, "I want to move you to Metheringham, another job. You will be out on the airfield responsible for 106 Lancaster Squadron, early January 45. The Group Engineer Officer came again. "I want to move you again." He said, "Coningsby." And he said, "It's 2 Pathfinder Squadron." He said, "That's 40 Lancasters on frontline duties with Pathfinder." He said, "Do you think you can cope?" I said, "I'll do my best." He said, "Right, get there on Monday." Then, of course, in May, the Germans packed in. I went to Strubby, where they were building up an outfit called Tiger Force, which was going to go to the Japanese island of Okinawa, which was in American hands, to bomb the Japanese mainland. And the Japanese packed in. Then the next thing I knew, I was posted to a unit at Chester, said it was 54 RUP. I said, RU repair unit. I said, what is P? He said, plant. I said, plant, yeah, bulldozers, excavators, cranes, all that sort of stuff. Oh, I said, I'm an aircraft engineer, not a civil engineer. I said, I'm going back to my unit. He said, you bloody well not, you're going to Singapore next Wednesday. Well, in the end, they just took an advance party, and I wasn't on it, so I had 2 weeks before I was due to go, and in that 2 weeks, we managed to scramble along and got married. We got married at Wilkesby Church on the 26th of September. Then the following, on the Saturday, I was recalled from unit, recalled from leave, went back to Chester, and on the Wednesday, I was on my way to Singapore. And we didn't get counselling, you just went. That was 1 week from the day I was married till I was on the boat for Singapore, and I went out there and I was with this airfield construction repair unit. Amongst other things, we prepared the plant and machinery for building the Changi runway. I did a course, a 6-week, 2-month course in Ceylon at Kandy. That was very nice. Resigned my commission, came home, and eventually re-enlisted as a warrant officer, engineer, and well, then I served in Boddington, Hemswell. We were at home on Spalding Moor, living in the land of Nod, and from there I went to Germany, Sylt, the North Frisian Islands, and after a year Mary managed to come out with me. We had 18 months up there. Then we came back to Shawbury, Shropshire. It was whilst they were there that we had you and Peter and John for various lengths of time because your mother couldn't look after you very well. For 6 years there, I moved to Linton on Ouse, which is another flying training school. I think we did just about a year and 8 months. I was posted to Germany in Butzweilerhof on the edge of Cologne, a big workshop unit. Oh, after a year, Mary came home because the bungalow was ready for occupation. So we came home and got Mary installed to get it set up and get the garden set up. And I went back to Cologne for another 1 year. Then I came home to South Cerney for 6 months. Then I came out the service in April '66 and set up home with Mary here and got a job with Horncastle Rural District Council. Well, then after 8.5 years, we were amalgamated with Spilsby and other units to form East Lindsey. And I moved to East Lindsey for another 3 years, I think I did with East Lindsey. And then took a little retirement in 70 time, and that was it. I'd finished my work. So then we'd retired.